Welcome, everyone. Thank you all for being here for another episode of the Conquest Call-In Show here on the Voice of College Football USC. With me, as always, is my editor, Matt Zemek. We're looking forward to a wonderful show tonight. The topics are there, but remember, this show is all about you guys. It's always been about you guys. We want to bring a show where the fan, the USC fan and the college fan, you guys are the stars of the show. So we will throw some topics out there, but remember, you guys can take the show wherever you guys want. We may not be the first, we won't be the last, but we definitely were the first to give you guys your platform where you guys are the stars and we talk about college football with you guys. Matt, how are you doing tonight?
I'm just marveling at the epic incompetence of those UCLA Bruins and Martin Jarmond, that they are in this mess due to Chip Kelly, who obviously wanted out. He obviously did not want to be a head coach anymore, just wanted to call plays. So he doesn't have to recruit, can just focus on, diagramming plays. This was so obvious, and the folks at UCLA should have seen this coming. And of course, they had every chance in the world to fire Chip right after the Cal game. You remember, Cal dump trucked UCLA 1 week after UCLA beat USC. Should have been a pretty easy call to move on from Chip heading into the Big Ten and kind of, get the reset that Lincoln Riley gave for USC on the defensive side of the ball. And it's just fascinating, Tim, and for everyone watching here as we prepare to take the first phone call that comes in. It's just fascinating to contemplate an alternate universe in which UCLA does fire Chip right after the Cal game. What happens then? What does D'Anton Lynn do? What happens to UCLA's recruiting class? What happens to the Bruins' overall identity as a program? I mean, UCLA is just screwed, and the Bruins did this to themselves because this should have been an easy call to make. They didn't make it, and now they are stuck. And just to make one point very clear about UCLA's head coaching search, who is going to come to Westwood to inherit this program, which clearly doesn't care about football? If they were serious, they would have fired Chip Kelly after the Cal game. UCLA is making no real investment in football. UCLA's NIL is a disaster. Like, if you think it's bad at USC, it's a million times worse at UCLA. And a coach coming in mid-February, way behind in the cycle, already after signing day, who wants to inherit this? I can't see any really good, really credentialed coach wanting to come here. I've heard about PJ Fleck. UCLA Wire is a website that's just two weeks old, and they have a story up about PJ Fleck rumors. And PJ Fleck kind of makes sense, right? Because he's stalled out at Minnesota. He's not doing a great job. They have some embarrassing losses. They lost to Northwestern after having a 21-point fourth quarter lead. So that kind of tells you how things are going for PJ Fleck. So for a guy like Fleck, whose career has stalled out, okay, that makes sense. But anyone who's hot in the industry, anyone who's has an upward trajectory in the profession, UCLA is not going to get that kind of coach. So the Bruins are in trouble, and they brought it all on themselves.
Yeah. And where did it go? Oh, here we go. Jeff, big supporter of the show. Thank you, Jeff, for always being here. He says, I hope Lynn isn't dumb enough to take the bait at UCLA. That school is a dumpster fire right now. Jeff, isn't it so sweet? Wasn't UCLA say that about us a couple of years back? You know what? This just tells you, you get your comeuppance. If you start running that mouth a little bit too much, it comes back around. I am not going to take too much pleasure in any of this. I'm not. I've got a lot of Bruin friends. But I will say this. Lynn saw that mess firsthand last year. Okay. That's one thing. Two, I am under no, I told Mark Rogers on the national show, on the Big Ten show earlier, I make no mistake, Trojans, D'Anton Lynn's here as a stepping stone. He is not going to be a 10-year defensive coordinator. He's not a Brett Venables. He's not going to sit here and win some, a couple of national championships with us. No, the second he turns this team around, which he will do, I believe, this year, gets a couple of years seasoning under him, he is gone. Most likely to, I would say, almost most likely to the NFL. So if he was thinking about going and taking another job, another head coaching job, one, he's going to get to the NFL faster if he stays at USC, turns this defense around, which is, I'm not going to call it dumpster fire, but sure as hell was smelling last year. If he's able to turn it around, like he did at UCLA, he's one step closer to getting where he wants to be, and that is a defensive coordinator in the NFL. And so I wouldn't worry too much, Jeff. All you guys, thank you all for being here. You guys are super awesome. We're about 40 away from getting to 5,000. So if you haven't hit that like button already, please go ahead and hit it for us. And also, down here is that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. That way you know when we're going live. We really appreciate everyone being here. Friday nights, if it's 50 of you or if it's 250 of you, this is my place I want to be every night sharing with you Trojans. So Chip Kelly is going over to Ohio State, Matt. And there's a lot to like. I'll tell you what, there's a lot to like if you're a Buckeye fan. So if you guys didn't pay attention to the news today, Bill O'Brien, who was going to be the new defensive coordinator at Ohio State, took the vacancy at Boston College. And then as soon as Chip, who's been, as Matt said, and written about, as soon as he got word that, he couldn't get a job in the NFL and that job opened up, he jumped on it. And I'm sure that Ohio State was very happy to have that option, Matt.
I think so. Chip Kelly just having to call plays, you take out the recruiting, you take out his overall stewardship of the UCLA program where he struggled, just calling plays. Chip Kelly showed that if you give him the groceries, it's the old Bill Parcells reference to, the personnel that you have, what kind of groceries do you have to cook with? Chip Kelly has, some pretty good groceries. Although I will say that, Will Howard, as opposed to, other quarterbacks that Ohio State has had, is that exactly the right fit for Chip Kelly and Ohio State? I'm not sure, but certainly, Ohio State, USC's had great receivers in recent years, Drake London, Jordan Addison, now, Taj Washington last year, but Ohio State's been wide receiver U. No program has had better wide receivers come through its doors the last 3-4 years than Ohio State. Like LSU in 2019, with Jamar Chase, and some of the other guys that Joe Burrow could throw to, as good as it gets. But like from 2020 through 2023, hard to argue that Ohio State hasn't had the best receivers in the country. So you give Chip Kelly those toys to play with, and if Ryan Day just lets Chip Kelly do his thing, that probably works out pretty well for Ohio State. So you have Jim Knowles on defense, you have Chip Kelly on offense, pretty good pair of coordinators. And it just reaffirms that if Ryan Day can't get it right in 2024, if he can't get it right this year, with Jim Harbaugh gone, with lots of Michigan personnel, both players and coaches gone, and that game's going to be in Columbus in 2024, Ryan Day can't do it this year. Whoa, Nelly. We're going to have a situation in Columbus.
Yeah. And there were a lot of changes to the coaching staffs. It's just this kind of rumbling thing. And you're going to have now a number of guys at UCLA that the window now opens for them to transfer, right? When you lose. So the transfer portal window has closed, but if your head coach leaves, you have 30 days to go shopping to go somewhere else. I think I heard it on the On 3 as I was driving home on 3 show. Oh, no. It's Cover 3 show. They basically said that the problem is a lot the semesters at schools have already started. So academically, it's going to be a bit difficult. The UCLA is on the quarter system. So there's all kind of academic issues there as far as transferring right away. But you're going to see, and I know Trojan fans, you're going to know his name right away, but USC does need a nose tackle. And Jay Toya, for love or hate him, is a big body at a position of need that USC needs and he's familiar with Lynn's defense. Love him, hate him, indifferent. It would be a piece that USC can do. They've already done a pretty good job picking through that UCLA team. So, any thoughts on that, Matt?
Well, I mean, this opens the door for D'Anton Lynn to do a little bit more poaching. So I don't know what the odds are, what the percentages are, but you know that with another 30-day portal window opening up for a specific program, I mean, it certainly gives USC a chance. And D'Anton Lynn, having been at UCLA, having been inside the program, it certainly gives him a unique piece of leverage if he's able to translate that and parlay that into another pickup. So, it'll be interesting to see if USC can do something here.
Yeah. Again, Fisherman, we covered that, and I would bet the mortgage that he is not going back to UCLA. So that's
he wanted out, like he wanted out of there. That's why he went to USC. So yeah, I would highly doubt it.
Yeah, you can see he saw the writing on the wall because he saw probably Chip wanting to get the hell out of there. He knew all along this was inevitable, so he wanted greener pastures.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about, we don't play Ohio State, so I'll just do it briefly. But I was talking to Mark, and I said, what a great situation I think actually for Ohio State, because there are some question marks at quarterback. We do like Will Howard, but let's face it, he's not that traditional. He's not a CJ Stroud back there. He's gonna sit there and just sling the ball all over the place. What he does is run. And they got Quinshon Judkins from Ole Miss, probably the best SEC running back last year, to go along with Travion Henderson, who's coming back. So as far as three guys in that backfield that can absolutely run the ball, and what does Chip Kelly love to do, you guys? Chip Kelly loves to find a way to run the ball. I mean, it's what Chip loves to do. And there's one thing, that UCLA team didn't, although they did have some success over us, towards the end here lately. The one thing I was worried about with Chip Kelly was his ability to game plan and scheme, because those are two things this guy does very well. He may not recruit. He may not even know what an at-home visit even is, but he does know how to scheme football. And the thought of him having two running backs like they have and be able to run the option with Will Howard, the power option, that's going to be something probably right up his alley. Question mark here is the offensive line. I don't know, but all offensive linemen like to pin their ears back and run block. So if there's questions on offensive line, all things be equal, running the ball is probably the way to go. And on top of that, you guys, this defense that Ohio State has is that Jim Knowles turned around, is bringing back almost everybody. Veteran squad, very, very talented. And the young man from Alabama, the safety from Alabama, pretty much with the top, what's his name, Matt?
Caleb Downs.
Downs coming over. That just sealed it, that defense is going to be crazy. So they're not going to need to put up, 42 points a game, the 49 points a game. They're going to win a lot of games with their defense. They're going to want to salt games away. And I'm telling you, Chip Kelly and his offense with these running backs is going to be pretty amazing to watch.
Yeah, I mean, and some people in the chat have brought up the point that this is not Chip Kelly at Oregon, and that's true. Like he's not as fully in command the way he was a decade ago. He's not at the absolute height of his powers, not even all that close. But we did see that in 2022, when he had DTR, when he had Zach Charbonnet, UCLA's offense did really, really well. So he has plenty of talent at Ohio State to be able to continue to do really well. So I don't think it's a home run for Ohio State, but I think it's a long double. Like it's still good. I don't think, and I would say, if I'm going to compare Bill O'Brien to Chip Kelly, let's just have that comparison for a little bit. Bill O'Brien did not maximize the resources at his disposal at Alabama. The Tide were still really, really good, still made the playoff, but remember, Alabama was really, really fortunate to go as far as it did under O'Brien. Should have lost to Auburn in 2021. That was the game in which Tank Bigsby, the Auburn running back, went out of bounds late in the game. if Tank Bigsby doesn't go out of bounds, Alabama loses that game. And that was a 10-3 game. Alabama scored 3 points in the first 58 minutes with Bryce Young at quarterback. I mean, Bill O'Brien did not max out at Alabama. If I'm comparing Bill O'Brien to Chip Kelly as a college football offensive coordinator, I don't think it's a blowout. I think it's, you can say some things for Bill O'Brien, but I would give Chip Kelly the slight edge. So I don't think Ohio State absorbs a net loss here. Let's put it that way. Maybe it's equal, but I don't think Ohio State really loses out on that trade.
All right, callers, we've warmed up the room. We got callers on the line. We got 3 of you guys. We're going to try to go through these. Again, we want you guys, don't feel rushed, but please just have like 1, maybe 2 points. We'll go through them really quickly, and we're trying to get as many calls as we can tonight. Really quickly, though, before we go there, we have, as always, our faithful supporter of the show, Slap Happy. Thank you. So, by the way, yes, you guys, Slap Happy Torch, guys. Yes, Slap Happy was on time. We better kick ass. And we'll get to this question for you a little bit later about Juju at quarterback that you guys really don't know. He is a quarterback from Georgia that reclassified to become a 2025 guy. We will talk about that soon. But I've kept the caller waiting long enough. Hello, caller. Sorry so much. So much news this week. We're not used to it. Where are you calling from, and what's your name? Call you there?
You're on the air.
Oh, wait, hang on a second. Yeah, 1 second, caller. Hang on. I think he's been on there so long. I think that I might have. Hold on a second, caller. We got you. Live YouTube, guys. All right, caller. Sorry so much. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Hey, guys. How you doing? It's Leon from Orlando, Florida.
Leon, thanks for calling again. Appreciate you calling us. Sorry about the wait. Sorry about technical difficulty. What's on your mind?
Man, you guys took up all my topics for tonight, man. I was going to ask you about Anton Lynn going to UCLA. I was going to talk about Chip Kelly going to Ohio State and how that affects the UCLA players. And Jay Toya, he was on my list. Defensive lineman, nose tackle. We would love to have him. I'm looking at our roster, and we're a little bit light at that heavy zero technique D tackle, and he would be a great pickup.
Yeah.
And then also you talked about the fact that because these coaches are leaving so late, the school's already started, that some of these kids can't even transfer in. So that kind of sucks. But the one thing, so real quick, since we're going to get some other people on here, 2 things. We got the Isaiah Rubin update. He's signed, sealed, and delivered, 4-star cornerback. And what about the report that Nasir White is leaning toward Oregon? I know it's a little bit early in the 2025 recruiting class, but it looks like he's leaning Oregon's way.
It is early, and we've seen a lot of our a lot of our Southern California, especially Bosco defensive linemen, rush ends, and linemen in general, and modern day go up north. But again, I think we have to remember we have a totally different defensive staff now, and defensive line coach, and with Henderson. It's just going to get better. It's a long time. I think that if we're going to get the right kind of guys, remember, you want to have guys that want to be here. If they're here just for NIL, if they're really looking for that quick paycheck, and maybe they aren't the right guy you're going to want, because then every year you're renewing and repaying them. But if they want to come here, it was really cool the way Riley, he did that little tour he did. And he kept talking about they're pushing development. When they go out there and say, hey, we got all this Nike money, hey, we could do this for you. They're saying, come here, we'll get you better. We'll get you past that first NFL contract, and definitely that second NFL contract that's going to make all this NIL money look like pocket change. Matt, what do you think?
Well, I mean, in terms of what's the situation is relative to Oregon, I mean, I think that the next real milepost is the spring. And I think the spring is going to tell us, where USC stands in the portal and in terms of its ability to compete. In terms of the recruiting trail, I mean, USC, I think, did what it could just in terms of this past week. I'm sure that callers are going to want us to talk more about Jaden Walker and also Ratumana Bulabalavu. I mean, USC wasn't going to make up the gap with Oregon this week. It's more of a long-term battle. And so, I'm really interested in terms of what the spring does. And with that portal window opening April 16th, that might give us another sense of where USC stands. Let's remember that Jordan Addison 2 years ago, spring portal entry. Bear Alexander 1 year ago, spring portal entry. So like if USC can get another splash or two in the spring, that might tell us that, this operation is, while certainly needing to improve and rise to Oregon's level, and that's going to take some time. That's not going to be a quick fix. If USC at least gets a splash or two in the spring, that's definitely going to relieve some worries and some fears heading into the summer.
And remember also, as I just thought about, you're talking about the Oregon connection. USC just picked up a defensive analyst in Skylar Jones. Skylar Jones coached with Henderson at the Rams, but most recently he was last year he was an analyst up with Oregon. And I'm wondering, I don't know. I know they can't do chat. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know the analysts can't do off campus recruiting, but I'm sure anybody that came to the campus, I'm sure Skylar Jones has conversations with as well. So I know that USC isn't playing around. I know that they are getting not just the coaches, but also the recruiting staff. They've had that for years. That we're going to compete, and they're going to sell them again. What Riley was saying, they're going to sell development. And if a guy wants to come here and he's good enough and really seriously knows he's going to get the NFL, and he wants that first round grade in the draft, then that's the kind of guy we want, and that's the kind we're going to get. Leon, anything else for us really quick before we go?
Yeah, real quick. Have you guys heard of any rumblings or rumors about Mason Graham or Kenneth Grant from Michigan entering the portal at all?
They just got Wink Martindale as the defensive coordinator, but they lost the defensive line coach. The name escapes me right now. He went to the Chargers as well. It's not about head coaches and coordinators. It's just your position coach, and the fact that they just saw their position coach just walk out the door, new DC coming in with a new defensive line coach, as well as a new strength coach, which I'm sure those linemen spent a lot of time with. I think it's going to look a lot different around Michigan. Now, they just won a national championship. They're gods on that campus. A lot of this goes into it. But, wouldn't you be just a little bit interested to hear what maybe a guy like Henderson could do for your career? I don't know. It's still out there. We'll see the spring, right? I'm sure we'll know a lot in the spring. Like Matt said, they put their new coach in place. They find out who their defensive line coach is to begin with. Then they start to get a couple of practices with the guy or whatever. I don't know how far they can go before they start transferring. Then we'll see at the end of spring if they want to pop over here to USC. Thanks a lot. Listen, Leon, appreciate it. We're stacking up behind. As always, great support of the show.
Sure.
Fight on, man. Thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you, guys. Fight on.
Great call, as always, Leon. Next caller. Sorry, there's a little bit of a lag. Hello, you're on with
Hello.
Matt. Thank you so much for spending your Friday with us. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is Gary from Dana Point.
Gary.
Nice.
Hey, Gary.
Hey, hi. Good. Hey, good to see you. Listen, I'll try to be succinct with this. It kind of has to do with NIL and the NCAA. But as I had mentioned before, I started watching football in 1953 with USC, which means I'm almost old enough to qualify to be president, apparently. But in any case, football's changed, and I don't really like where it is with the portal and NIL and all that. But you know what? You can grab reality with two hands and pull as hard as you want, but you can't change it. So here's what I'm getting at here. The NCAA is under a lot of assault, and they are running. They remind me of an elephant trying to hide behind a lamppost. There's so much going on. And the NCAA, and this is where maybe I could direct this toward you, Matt, because you've talked about it before, but they're not like three guys renting a building from in the United Nations or something. They're not renting a room there. Who are these guys? And the reason I say that is that we say what you want, but we're losing to to Oregon constantly with NIL. And I understand that Jen Cohen is trying to do things the right way. Well, I guess my question is, what is the right way? Because a lot of guys that I hang out with at the gym are very concerned that winning isn't necessarily going to solve all of our problems. We've got to be market sensitive and market up to date. And I may be a 1953 guy, but I'm living in 2024. So how do we interpret what guidelines are being offered by the NCAA, if they're even relevant anymore? Where is Jan Cohen getting her marching orders from?
Matt?
Well, I mean, she's getting her marching orders from Carol Folt, who, just as for perspective, like Carol Folt shut the door on the possibility of, Urban Meyer ever coaching at USC. Like Carol Folt, does strike me as someone who wants to do things the right way. So, when we hear Jen Cohen talking about doing things the right way, I think there's definitely an alignment between Cohen and Folt in that regard. And I'm not necessarily approving of that, though I actually do approve of it. But I mean, I'm just saying that I think the president and the AD are very much aligned at USC, and I think where Jen Cohen needs to realize what she has to do and how she needs to step her game up. It's that she is a prodigious fundraiser, and she has to find a way to make things really happen so that she can get all of the various channels flowing significantly. And if that she needs to work her back channels, and she needs to make sure that, all right, like we want to do things the right way, but we still have to be cutthroat, and so being cutthroat while still being on the right side of the white lines, not overstepping your mark, but still being ferociously competitive. I mean, that's really the balance that I think Jen Cohen is trying to strike at USC. And it's an awareness of the urgency and the magnitude of the situation, but yet trying to stay within the boundaries that you think are appropriate. How can you go as far as you possibly can and yet still stay inside that box that you don't want to be violating any cardinal rule or principle? So where that is, that's what Jen Cohen gets paid the very big bucks to determine.
And I will say this, I thought for a while, so if you watched, well, first off, you guys make sure you check out on our channel. We had, well, I'll go back to that in a minute, but we talked about Carol Folt, and she is going to make sure, and the whole university, we've been burned a lot. For some reason, when someone steps out of line, it's like this and that, tap on the wrist, whatever. But if USC steps out of line, it's off of their heads. So, Jen Cohen, I'm sure she talked about the fact on Ryan Abraham's show in that interview that they're looking for clarity in the summer this year. I'm wondering, is that with the NCAA, or most recently we've been hearing stirrings of the SEC and the Big Ten starting to moving their own muscle? Now I think she was kind of vague about who and dates and whatever. She just said this summer, conversations, more clarity. Maybe those conversations, and I don't have any sources for this, but maybe those conversations are not with the NCAA. Maybe it's among the other presidents and ADs of basically the big two going forward. Or maybe it is with the NCAA, or maybe with both, because I'm sure that both conferences are going to have a lot of say in what goes on at the NCAA. Because remember, you guys, the NCAA is made up of their member institutions run by the presidents. So it's kind of a circular thing that's going on. And I wonder also if some of these other teams are being left out of the big two will become almost troublesome for the SEC and the Big Ten. So short answer is, I think we need to wait and see where the future of college football is going. I think USC is capable. I think they're willing to play ball with anyone, but I think they are going to make sure they're doing within the limits. Because I said on a previous show, you have some programs that are pushing the boundaries, and you have some programs that are flying right past it and basically handing out money and inducements. USC is more letter law and conservative, but I think that's going to loosen up as soon as USC gets more information and clarity on what is actually acceptable in this nebulous NIL thing that we have going on.
Gary, there's one more thing, because Tim mentioned that Big Ten SEC working group, whatever that is. And we don't know exactly what the Big Ten and the SEC are up to, but just to plant a seed here, Gary, what if the Big Ten and SEC are trying to kind of lead a movement in which football becomes separate from the NCAA? I mean, I don't know that's what the Big Ten and the SEC are doing, but like in terms of speculating, in terms of imagining what that could possibly be about, like that, I see that as a very realistic possibility. And so if there are going to be big structural changes just around the bend, it's up to Jen Cohen to know exactly what's happening, ride that train. USC is now part of the Big Ten, at least in football. So being able to ride that wave, understand what's coming, and hit the sweet spot in terms of adjusting precisely at the right time and in the right way, that's going to be something to watch for.
Yeah, great call. Great comments, Gary, as always. And also always appreciate the thought and in all of your questions and your support for the show. So thanks a lot, Gary.
Hey, thank you, guys. Fight on.
Fight on. Okay, I got it in. The latest wait time now is 19 minutes. I didn't want this to go to 20. Sorry, callers. I am going to try to do a little bit better job on moving these things along. Hi, caller. Hang on 1 second. I just do a little housekeeping here. Thank you so much to Jeff Rodriguez. Again, another great supporter of the show. Thank you for the $9.99 super chat. Really appreciate you, Jeff. And Slap, I haven't forgotten. We will talk about Juju Lewis in a little bit. But caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Augie. I'm Oxnard, California.
Augie.
And seems like we're witnessing a kind of like a who's on first, what's on second coaching carousel going on. But I'm a firm believer, if you build it, they'll come, and the stars are aligned. And just with the recent signings, going on, and shout out to C.J. Stroud, giving a shout out to California, his roots. And yes, we have plenty of talent, but I believe other talent across the nation is going to see that torch, that light in that stadium with the Olympics coming up, and with all the media attention, and we got all those we got the Star Wars people and so forth. Get Snoop, make a video, the underdogs, but we are the big dogs. Going with that, I think we are in the right track. Got to have faith in the Trojan family with the recent additions of these recruits. It's game on, and I appreciate what you guys are doing, and when definitely that Ohana Trojan family is in effect.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry, Matt, could you grab? I'm having a little audio trouble. I didn't hear the first part when do you have a question there? I kind of lost it.
No, there was no question. It was just a comment.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I really do think that USC is on the right track. I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised. The theme of the show was two things: recruiting, NIL, and then on top of that as well, we wanted to talk about just how good this defense could actually be and turn some heads. So I think once there's proof of concept on the field, we've been talking about that. We see it on the offense. When we see a whole team, we see a complementary defense for that offense, and you see USC start racking up some wins. They're going to be hard, and there's going to be some losses, you guys. I'm just going to say it. This is a pretty tough schedule, but this USC team is going to turn some heads this year, and we've got to hang in there. Go back to the previous caller as far as getting clarity on NIL. I think that the future of USC looks very bright in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I think as long as we do it the right way and build it, we are the big dogs. USC has that glamour, and just keep going in that direction, and the rest would take care of itself. And keep it simple, just get out there and kick some butt. When I listened to the former defensive coach, it was too wordy, too abstract, and these kids, they like just straightforward and keep it straight and get after it. Like y'all would say, man, just keep it simple and run down the opponent. It just goes down. Don't give no running lanes and little things, and the rest. I see it. It's going to be awesome to witness what we're about to see, this transition into the Big Ten. And thanks for taking my call. And fight on as always. And Ohana, one family, we are chosen. Fight on.
Fight on, Augie. Thanks. Great call.
Thanks, Augie.
Yeah, Augie and I are on the same page. Matt, you as my editor saw that. I did. I said, build it and he will come is the actual quote. And I was talking about this defense, and what they're building with Henderson, and Entz and Belk. It's just going to be something really fun to see what Lynn can all throw together.
Yep.
So absolutely great call. All right, I'm speeding them up a little bit. Oh, sorry. And then we have right here, thank you so much, Gary. Gary, thank you for the $20 super sticker. Again, as always, we appreciate you calling and your support of the show. Thank you so much. Hello, caller. Thank you for sharing your Friday with us. You're on with Matt. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
It's Jackson from Marineville, Alabama. How's it going, guys?
What's up, Jackson?
Not much, Tim. How y'all doing tonight? It's the second time I talked to you tonight, Tim. It's pretty funny, man.
Yeah, it's a long night for me usually, but I look forward to it. Again, anytime I talk to SC fans and college football fans as knowledgeable as you, Jackson, I'll take it. I'll take that most nights unless the wife has something else going on.
I will say though, this UCLA stuff. I mean, I've told some people. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be some teams that USC will definitely worry about 2024. None of which are going to be UCLA, especially with the disaster that UCLA is going through right now. And I hope that Lynn doesn't leave the DC job to go be a head coach. I mean, if you got to leave for a head coaching position, sure. But don't go back to UCLA. That is a nightmare right now.
Completely agreed, Jackson. And I think just one other thing to note is that UCLA technically is a road game in 2024. So for USC to have an easy Big Ten road game in 2024, like it's a small piece, but like it's just nice to know that a road game is not going to be overly difficult this year.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, the coaching search is going to be a disaster over there. I mean, if it took this long to get Chip Kelly to leave, I mean, he should have been gone the day after that 36-7 loss to California. I mean, you don't get humiliated like that and expect to keep a job, especially if you're a 6-year head coach. I mean, obviously, Martin Jamon and the UCLA athletic department failed to read the room, as the fans noted. I mean, the media members like Bill Platch from LA Times, Locked On UCLA, they were all telling them, hey, read the room, UCLA. We want this guy to go. We want him to go.
Well, there was that whole little thing called a buyout. And when you're talking about the athletic department, now Tony Altomore's talked about this many times on the way that UCLA does their bookkeeping and how they say they're broke, but they're basically borrowing money. You need someone smart like Tony to explain all that to you. But, they probably aren't as broke as they show on paper, but it's still kind of hard to sell that idea of paying a huge buyout when, again, they could wait. They knew that, I'm sure it was communications. They knew that Chip wanted out. Chip was actively trying to get out. But you're right. It may come back to haunt them as they go into the Big Ten, not making that big leap, opening up the checkbook and getting a staff in here and hit the ground running. Because I do think whoever they bring in is going to be at a huge disadvantage. Because it's even, think about this, just a couple months earlier, look at who was available to them. What if they had called Jonathan Smith? I'm not saying it's a certain thing, but Jonathan Smith, and when the situation at Oregon State, he's a Southern California guy. That was an option. You have Jed Fish, who at one time was offensive coordinator at UCLA. He may have also been an option, but this late, going all the way into the beginning of February and having to try to now scramble to not just get a coordinator, but a head coach and an entire staff just weeks before you're going into spring ball. That's a mess. That's a mess that I wish on no program, even the Bruins. So it's going to be interesting to see what they can cobble together in order to get a staff that will be competitive in 2024.
And I have just a little piece
Yeah,
of free, I have just a little piece of free advice for UCLA Athletic Director Martin Jarmond. Remove the tarps. You know, if you are more concerned with preventing USC fans and other visiting fans from being in your ball yard against the Bruins, if you're more concerned about keeping other fans out rather than making money and selling as many football tickets as possible when you are cash poor, hey, that's on you. If you want to make that kind of bet, go ahead. But my piece of advice, remove the tarps, sell some tickets, let USC fans into your stadium, make some money, because you're going to need that money to compete. Just a little free advice for the UCLA athletic director.
well, I got this little mini helmet collection, so I kind of base it off for the next 3 years for right now. And right now, I have Indiana and Minnesota above UCLA because Indiana's got a great coach in Kirk Cignetti, and Minnesota's still got PJ Fleck, although rumors say PJ Fleck may leave for UCLA, but I highly doubt that. I mean, that's a lateral move.
One could even say it's a downward move right now.
Right now, but in the long run, I would have to say that the UCLA job has the potential to be a superior job to the Minnesota, depending on what you're looking for. I mean, I talked about it on the Big Ten show. You're looking for recruiting, in your backyard, like you have in LA and Southern California, the West Coast. Then you can do that because it's a lot easier to recruit here. Mark Rogers made the point than being just on the border of Canada up there, and trying to recruit guys. So you also know that UCLA, although they have gone on hard times recently, Chip Kelly showed that even without recruiting, he was winning 8, 9 games, flirting with 10 win seasons last couple of years. It is possible to win at UCLA. Now, what it's going to be like and how he could bring a staff together this late, you're going to be throwing away, getting started late in recruiting, getting started, late with the transfer portal, and getting started late, period. But he knows the Big Ten. So there's a lot of advantages to getting. I don't see Fleck coming, to be honest with you. I don't. I think it'd be interesting to find out who they actually can find to get the job.
I'm curious to see if Ryan Grubb will take the position, just stay a few weeks at Bama and then go to UCLA. I'm curious to see if that happens or if Jamie Chadwell leaves Liberty to become the next head coach at UCLA. Because, I mean, if you're looking for a winner, Jamie Chadwell is your guy. I mean, he's proven that at Coastal Carolina. He's proven that in his only year at Liberty. And he's going to prove it when he has that chance.
I just don't see the head coach of Liberty going to Westwood. Like that's such an ultimate culture shock, culture change. And like it brings up the point that Chadwell, when he was at Coastal Carolina, like he had a pretty good marketplace and he went to Liberty. So like I think any really good coach that's ascendant right now in the business, it would be absolutely foolish to go to UCLA. But it'll be interesting to see what the Bruins come up with. But I don't think any coach with a favorable industry trajectory is going to land at UCLA.
Yeah, and to add insult to injury for the Brewers, the 2024 schedule, I mean, I'm looking at it right now. It's scary. I mean, you got to go to Hawaii. You have Indiana at your home field, but you don't really have any home field advantage at UCLA. I mean, they showed that against Arizona State in 2023 and Arizona in 2022. Then you got to go to the Bayou for LSU. Please, God, don't put that game at nighttime. I mean, those boys have suffered enough. I mean, I just don't like to see a suffering puppy dog.
But we want UCLA to suffer. We want UCLA to suffer.
Well, I'm just kind of like, as bad as decisions UCLA's been making. I was just like, the fans you guys have been watching this team your whole life. Don't put that game at nighttime. Here, put it at 2:30 on ABC. But in all seriousness, though, that Oregon game, Penn State, oh Lord! I mean, we're not even through the second half yet. I mean, you got to go to Rutgers. That's going to cost a lot of money travel there. November's scary. Nebraska, Iowa, Washington, USC. The only easy game is Fresno State, and Fresno's not so easy.
Yeah, USC is going to have one hell of a schedule. But I'll tell you what, they don't have to worry about the frequent flyer miles. When you're getting all the cheese that they're getting from that Big Ten TV money contract, money and travel, that's the least of the worries. The worries for USC are going to be can this mix of young and veteran offensive linemen gel to give us something to allow Lincoln Riley's proven offense to cook. Somebody made a comment earlier saying that Lincoln Riley's offensive play calling last year wasn't good. And I would just ask you to say, what, did he just forget how to coach? You know, he does great for 8 years, and all of a sudden now he or longer as an offensive coordinator, and then all of a sudden he just has a bad year calling plays? Or is it more likely that USC got caught and not necessarily Riley's fault with a gap in the offensive line recruiting over the years that ended with Helton? You know, although Clay McGuire did a great job getting those guys ready for Henson, the depth that they had offensive line showed up last year. They tried to throw it together with some guys from the SEC, and it just didn't really pan out. So I'd say be a bit patient, which is worrisome when you start the season off. Your first game is against LSU, and your third game is against a defense in Michigan. It's going to be rough. But I think what we saw in the Holiday Bowl is enough to get people excited that it can be done. Miller is really good about getting that ball out in rhythm, and I think that this offense will not be the issue. And as we're going to talk about very soon here, that defense is looking pretty tough.
Oh man, I'm excited about that USC LSU game. That is my go-to game for week 1.
Can't wait.
I'm really curious. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
No, just say can't wait.
I'm really curious, you guys, people that chat right now. I've always wondered. I know a lot of the names, actually. I've memorized a lot of these names in the chat. I'm curious. Do you guys predominantly watch on your phones, your TV, or like a laptop or a tablet? If you could do this for me, hit 1 for TV, 2 for phone, 3 for other, just so I get just a really rough idea of out there what you got to do. So again, 1 for TV, 2 for phone, and then 3 for any other kind of any other device you're using. Just an informal poll really quick for me to take a look at. Roger Dodger is actually watching the show on a calculator. That must be a really good Texas Instruments calculator. It has all that scientific stuff that you can get on this. I've always been really curious because I know if you're on a TV, you really can't. Obviously, when I say, I don't think anyone is going to hit a 1, right? Because they can't on a television. So I'm assuming a lot of you guys are on TV, unless you're on your phone as well. But sorry, go ahead, Matt.
Nothing to add. Jackson, thanks so much for calling in. And folks, you want to keep listening to the Jacksonian. That's Jackson's YouTube show. Follow Jackson and the Jacksonian for a continuous stream of quality college sports podcasts.
Well, thank you so much, Matt. I appreciate it. And all you guys tuning in for the Conquest College Show, tune in for some more Trojans Wire from Matt Zemek and Tim Prangley, as they have some wonderful articles and wonderful tapes on USC football, basketball, baseball, and all of the sports at USC.
That's right, Jackson. Baseball starts up in 1 week.
Let's get USC football to Voice College Football 5,000. They deserve it.
Well, again, I think I've looked at the exact number, but I'll bet you we're at 142 right now. Now, I'm assuming statistically half of you guys are already subscribed to the show. That means 70 of you are not. If we get about half of you guys to take 1 second, thank you, Jackson. Just 1 second. It's free. Hit that subscribe button. If you look at it right below Matt, see if I can find the little arrow for you. If you look down there, right here, there's a little box. Hit that little box, hit subscribe, and that notification bell. That way you know when we go live. Thank you, Jackson. As always, appreciate everything you do. And roll tide.
Thank you for Roll Tide, fight on. Thanks for letting me call in tonight's show. I appreciate it.
You got it.
Before the next call, before Tim takes the next call, just want to get 2 comments here. Gary from the top rope. Just absolutely brilliant. And then touchdown USC right behind Gary. Boom, baby. Just got to love the comments here in the chat. Clay Elton, Alex Grinch, the best candidates for the UCLA job. Amen, guys. You were on top of it. Coming through.
I saw that on Twitter. I think it was Rusty on Arrogant Nation. He threw that out as well. Great minds think alike. He really said all the crap we got from the Bruins, all the stuff they were trying to do a GoFundMe to keep. There was some pretty creative and funny signs back in the day, but now it's all coming back to roost for you guys. I'm telling you, the jokes on this one are going to last for years. So just get ready for it, Bruins, if you're out there. Yeah. Hi, caller. Thank you for calling in. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is John from Detroit. How you guys doing?
John. Good. Thank you so much for calling in. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I listened last week. I didn't get a chance to call in, and I said before, man, I love you guys' shows. It's funny. Me and my son was looking at some tickets for USC Michigan game. Man, you wouldn't believe what these tickets are. It's crazy.
I'm hoping for a media pass, or I won't be able to afford it unless I sell one of my children. But I heard that's illegal, so I can't do that.
Yeah, and I got a couple of friends that used to play at Michigan, so I'm going to try to go through them because I definitely want to be at that game. Listen, this is questions for you and Matt, and I just want to see what y'all think about this. When you talk about player development and developing players, I think this is a big year for Braylon Shelby, for Elijah Hughes, and for God's sake, can somebody please light a fire under Anthony Lucas? You know, and I'm like, and to me, if we can get these 3 guys going, okay. And yes, Shelby's a sophomore, and Hughes. I heard nothing but great things about Elijah Hughes, and so I'm looking for him to take the next step. That's defensively, and offensively. I think I asked y'all this question. I don't know if y'all found out anything, but what's his name? Gino Coentes. You know, that's a 300-pounder right there, and I knew last year I thought that hurt us.
Gino Quinones, right? You talk about the offensive lineman?
Quinones, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I butchered his name.
No, I got you. I do it too.
Does he have another year left?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe he had to apply for a medical red shirt. I believe it's going to be granted. I'll have to double. Matter of fact, I think I told you the same thing last time. I'll double check it. I'm pretty sure he's going to get it because I've heard his name brought up in conversations about the future.
Yeah, because he could be a big part of our offensive line. He really could. But those are the four guys that I'm interested in. And like I said, you know, I heard nothing but great things about Hughes, and of course Shelby was playing pretty good. Unfortunately, what was that in the Utah game? They had him out there on a running back, which was crazy. But I'm looking for these guys to make the jump, and if we can get these guys to make the next jump, you know, Shelby, Hughes, they'll just be sophomores. Lucas still has 2 years left with us, so. But you know, I'm telling you, man, if we can get these guys on the defensive side, because I'm not worried about the offense as much as I am the defense. And you know my motto, man. You just got to coach these guys up. If these guys could be coached up, I mean, you know, and I'm hear from these NFL guys we got, these great coaches we got, man. We could have something special here. You know, we really, really could have something special. But that's all I got tonight, man. I know you probably got other callers, man. And just want to say, love the show. And I just want to say, fight on, man. Let's, I'm invested, man. I'm telling you, I think I told you guys back during the season. My wife told me, I thought you was going to stop watching. And I said, I can't help it, man. I can't help it, even though it was hard to watch. But I'm just invested in this team. So that's all I got for tonight.
I'll tell you what, John. If I had a nickel for every time I said that's it, I can't take it anymore. Especially in the '90s. Oh my gosh, in the '90s, I could have had my retirement set up, by the time I was like 30 years old, because every time I said to myself, that's it, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I would have been a rich man, but we always come back. We always come back. And you forgot about rakes. I think rakes. So you got that Texas A&M combination with like you said, if you can bring along Anthony Lucas, I think we have the coach to do that in Henderson. I know Nua is there as well. I really do think that you're going to see a big jump, especially from our front seven. I think Entz is going to do some amazing stuff with our linebackers. I'm looking to see what these linebackers are going to do with really, just toughness and really good fundamental coaching, and in a system I believe is going to allow them to use their skill, because these guys are athletic. Use it to get downhill and make plays, because I want to see Rajon Davis. I think we have really wasted this young man eligibility, and I mean they're all great, Cobb and Gentry, but I mean I really want to see Rajon Davis in this defense, and I think he's going to shine.
But if you can finally, you guys can find out something about Geno, man, let me know, man, because that could be big also, too, especially if he comes back and he's healthy, man. That's a 300-pounder, man. We need that.
I know, yeah. Well, the offense.
Need that on offense.
Yeah, we do need his veteran
that's
play.
All I had. Yeah.
Thanks,
I'm actually
John.
start writing down.
Okay, guys.
Take care, John. Yeah, I'm totally remiss in the fact that I haven't been writing down the names of callers. I do apologize. There've been so many topics and so many phone calls, so many great comments in the chat. Been a bit overwhelmed and kind of breaking down and derelict in my duties. But great points by John again, as always. I do think that this defense is going to get a lot better. Anything about the defense, man? I know we're going to hit on the defense a little bit. We're running out of time, but do you want to just quickly? We got to talk about the defense, and I do want to talk about Slap Happy. Wanted us to talk about Juju Lewis. We'll hit that a little bit too as well.
On Slap Happy, of course, Dion to UCLA. Another epic comment. But Tim, do we have other callers on the line?
Nope, no calls right now. I think we're good.
Okay. So let's talk about that defense. So Jaden Walker, Ratumana Bulabulavu, and Isaiah Rubin, he was in the program, but he hadn't officially signed. So that's a source of relief. You could technically say that USC signed 3 players, not 2 this week. So, it's depth pieces at different levels of the defense. So that's a lot of new depth. And I think just the basic thing to say, I mean, we say it all the time, but it bears repeating in this long off season, which still has several months left to go before Labor Day weekend against LSU. Just every defensive prospect is going to be coached up by a really good coach. And we did not have that the last 2 years, but now we have a good guy at each position. You have Taylor Mays still on staff. That's huge. These guys are going to get developed. I'm 100% sold that these guys are going to get developed. So, if we were disappointed in the evolution or progress of players over the past few years, they weren't coached well. I mean, Sean Nua with Bear Alexander was the exception that proved the rule. But for the most part, there were not high-level development guys coaching these players. And this year, that's going to be different. And it really makes spring ball such an exciting time, that this spring practice, knowing that we actually have a real defensive staff in place now, man, can't wait to see the reports and see the coaches praising players and seeing the players saying, oh, this is what it looks like to be coached well. This is what it feels like to have elite development and technique guys on your coaching staff. Really can't wait for spring ball this year.
Yeah, Radamana is a guy that a lot of people have fallen in love with. So you guys, if you don't know his story, he was a one-time Washington commit, and then as things kind of changed there, he decommitted from Washington. And a big reason why he's a 4-star recruit from 247, a big star. By the way, I think he probably would have been a higher ranking as well if not for the fact that he plays down in Carlsbad for a very a small military school, I think, and a private military school. And so the competition is going up against, wasn't the stiffest. But if you watch this guy was a multi-sport star. He was on the track. I think he ran hurdles, triple jump. We're talking about a guy that's 6'4" at the time, about 260, and he's doing these track and these field events. Then the traditional ones that usually like linemen, offensive linemen, especially like the shot put that they'll do. But he's doing all this stuff and playing rugby. If you watch his film, yes, it's against probably some lesser competition, but the guy just explodes, and you can see his strength, the strength in his hands, everything about this guy. It's just going to get amazingly better under this new coaching staff. Henderson is going to be pulling these guys in. I really do think that Mana would have probably gone to a different school if it wasn't for the coaching staff we have in place. Last year, we had a lot of recruits coming in, and then when they saw just the wheels fall off this thing with the defense just looked like a mess. You had all those decommitments, and even going back a couple of years, going back to the 2022 year. A lot of these, we wonder why we say, oh, they went up for take the bag at Oregon. Well, if you were a coach, if you were a family member of some of these kids, would you want to send them to be developed by that defensive coaching staff? So we got to kind of look at ourselves in the mirror. What they have going right now at USC, however, is something special. And you're going to see more kids like Mana, who I'm telling you, this guy is underrated. Watch what this guy can do to go along with all the names we've been talking about. You're going to see... Yeah, he's going to take. I don't think we're going to see a lot of him this year, but I definitely do think maybe towards the end of the year and going into the following year, I'm hoping for him to have the kind of impact I think that Braylon Shelby's going to have on the outside. Braylon Shelby is going to be something really special this year. You guys watch. He's my guy on the line. I do think Lucas also with the right training is going to come. But man, watch Braylon Shelby and I think Rajon Davis. Those are 2 guys this year. I think early like, whoa, where'd that guy come from? He's been on our team the entire time, and now they're getting some serious coaching in the right scheme that fits them. All right, Matt, and that just leaves Juju Lewis from Carrollton, Georgia, who was the number 1 player in the 2026 class that reclassified for the 2025 class. He has recently did a visit to Georgia. Everyone in the world is going to be after him, especially after he reclassified. Quarterbacks like him are amazing, and they're hard to come by. He made it very clear, though, that he is still so slap happy. How is my Juju QB? He is reaffirmed his commitment to USC. He says and again, if you listen to his dad and his earlier conversations, they talked about what they want. They're looking for development. Look at Lincoln Riley's track record for getting guys to the NFL, winning Heisman's, getting to the NFL, getting high and even number 1 overall draft picks, which I don't think is going to end with Caleb Williams. So that's the Juju update. Anything else, Matt?
I've seen some whispers in the chat about anything, concerns about Julian Lewis. Here's the thing. With all the cross currents that are happening with UCLA and Ohio State and Michigan and all the coaching staff changes, I mean, there's a lot of information to process. And I would just say that, if Lincoln Riley does a really good job this year with Miller Moss and Jaden Mayava, and USC's quarterback room delivers really good results, like there's no real reason for Julian Lewis to change his mind about where he goes in 2025. And I think that really is the main thing to underscore about, looking at recruitments, a year or 2 years into the future. If USC wins and if USC delivers the results, there's no reason to worry. But if USC stumbles, then yeah, that creates lingering doubts and uncertainties. And with this being the first year of the post Caleb Williams era, I mean, I'm sure that if you're Juju Lewis, you're looking at what happens at USC this year, and you're going to evaluate that situation. And if things go in the wrong direction, it could potentially change things. So, like, I'm not handicapping anything right now. And I generally don't try to handicap recruitments just as a point of principle, because it's not my game, it's not my beat, it's not my field of expertise. But I can say that if Lincoln Riley develops his quarterbacks at USC this year, and if USC does really well, shouldn't be too much to worry about. And that's really where the focus should be.
Yeah, and I believe Tom Loy, is it a Notre Dame guy? I'm not sure. He was talking about, so he says, I don't see him at USC. Well, he said Indiana has a chance. So as soon as I heard that, I said, this guy is just hating. He's out of his mind. He really doesn't know what he's talking about. An Ordinary Pro, thank you so much for your super sticker. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate you supporting the show. Hope to hear from you. That phone line is usually always open. Love to hear you call in. Another thing that kind of popped around the chat was the talk we talked about earlier with Jay Toya, defensive tackle from Zero Tech from UCLA. Just a big human being. Matter of fact, it goes back to that weird thing that Clay Helton says something about is an elephant head. He's just a massive. He made some weird statement like that. I can't remember the whole story behind it. The guys over at 247 over at USCFootball.com have a pretty funny story about that. Just weird Clay Helton comments he makes. One of them was towards Jay Toya, but it was a weird situation where he did come to USC after spring ball. Though at the end of spring ball, he decides to transfer to UCLA. So it was a really weird situation. I don't know the details, so I'm not going to speculation. People are talking about family, etc. I'm not going to go there. But Jay Toya, again, is a position of need we need. B, the transfer portal is now open because Chip Kelly leaving, and he's a big guy that knows Lynn's system. I mean, it would just be a perfect fit, plug, and I'm interested to see if they can make that one happen. Well, Matt, I think we have no callers. It's been a great show. Again, I look forward to every week, you guys. I look forward to talking to you guys. We're here. If I have more calls, we can shorten the calls, and we'll get through. I promise you, we will get through every call. If you call in, we will jam through them. Do call in next week. It should be a pretty. We don't really have time to talk basketball. It was kind of a disappointing loss, but the Trojans are playing tomorrow night at Stanford. They got Matt. Don't do it. Oh, here he goes. I opened the door.
Don't do what?
No, go ahead.
No. What was I going to do?
No, just go ahead. Sorry.
What was I going to do?
We've been so positive today. I'm the one that brought up.
Okay, I was going to say USC women's basketball. Like that's the big deal, and that is positive. You thought I was going to do an Enfield rant, right?
Right,
no,
I did. I did.
Women's basketball, projected number 3 seed, baby. And remember, if USC gets a top 4 seed, USC hosts women's NCAA tournament games at the Galen Center. It's never happened before. So that's a huge deal. USC trying to get that home date for the first weekend of the women's NCAA tournament. And then we just published an article at Trojans Wire tonight, Tim, previewing USC baseball. That starts next Friday, February 16th. And the February 17 USC baseball game on Saturday, folks, that's on MLB Network. So you'll be able to watch your Trojans on MLB Network on Saturday, the 17th against Grand Canyon. That's an evening game. So, and Tim Prangley is going to be covering USC baseball all season long. So good things happening at USC Athletics and at Trojans Wire. We're all over it.
Yeah. So the Dado is being remodeled. So they're going to be playing at Loyola Marymount. They're also playing at Great Park in Irvine. I've been there actually from travel ball games. 2 different locations in Irvine and at LMU in Westchester. Yeah. So all you South Bay and all of your you LA guys, get out there early. Then later in the season, you guys go. You Orange County people, you guys make sure you get out there and watch the Trojans. It's gonna be a great fun team. And the USC website did say all USC home games are free, precisely because of the relocation. So you can't beat that value. Free baseball. Yeah, and again, watching Austin Overn in center field, you guys are going to be in for a treat. And at the bat and just tearing up the base paths. Aoki's a hell of a pitcher. You're going to see just some fun Trojan baseball because, you know, USC has a lot of national champions, baseball World Series wins, but it's been a while. And we've seen all the local teams win some, but it's been a USC drought. Hoping that Stankiewicz can turn that around this year and get some wins for us in baseball as well. Well, that's it. No calls coming in. I think next week we'll probably talk about. We didn't get to it. We'll talk about those recruits. We'll talk about all the amazing guys like Cameron Fountain and Marcellus Williams that are going to be joining the team as well this year. Hayden Treater. We'll talk about the offensive line additions we're going to have. That's all next week. Come with your favorite players, you guys. Frank from Tucson getting it the last minute. Great work, guys. Another excellent episode. Frank from Tucson. Frank, thank you so much. Again, it means the world to Matt and I that you guys are here tonight sharing, our love of SC football with us. If you're a Trojan fan or a Trojan hater, thank you both for being here. All of you helped the show out. Really quickly, I'm just doing one more time. Man, I'd love to get that at 5. You guys want to make my day? If you enjoy the show, subscribe. Get us to that 5,000 tonight. We're in striking distance. I bet you're within like 20 or 30 right now. So help us out and hit that subscribe button. So until next week, you guys, make sure that you are following us at Trojans Wire. We're getting multiple stories out every day, like Jackson said, on multiple sports each day. And I almost forgot, but Matt's going to get me because I didn't update the day. Guys, please free Reggie. Give him his damn trophy back. It's been too long. And NCAA, while you're still relevant, you still have time in your death throes to actually do something. So make sure you do something smart.
4,862 days.
All right. Thank you, Matt. I got so many damn graphics to keep up with all this stuff. It kills me. Sorry, Reggie, if I doubt you're watching the show, but we'll get that number fixed. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Check us out on Trojans Wire. Check us out on Monday for the Trojan Conquest live show. And we have a couple videos out right now that we did a premiere for. Let me know in the comment section. Do you guys like doing premieres? Basically, I could play the video and then we could all chat about the video. Do you guys like them at noontime like I did today? Or do you want to do them at night? So let me know that in the chat if you would as well. All right, Matt, we're good.
Enjoy your Super Bowl Sunday weekend, everybody.
Oh, that's right. They're playing a game on Sunday, aren't they, Matt?
Yeah.
All right. Fine, everybody. We'll see you next week.